All I can say leaving Season 2 of Goblin Slayer is get pumped for Season 3 whenever we eventually get it. As of the recording of this video, Season 3 hasn't been announced, but I mean, they definitely want you to be excited for more, and since we've already now had 2 seasons in a movie, I think it's just all but guaranteed we will see more in enough time, but just the way they decide to end this season, it may have been a bit of a bumpy road for many people. I quite enjoyed Season 2 and a lot of the ideas, the themes, especially Goblin Slayer's development, but they literally matched the end of Season 1 for me with, I would say, a top 3 fight of Goblin Slayer with that giant demonic hand. So cool, so different, very creative. Damn, would they have been screwed if the whole body got summoned. But most importantly, similar to how at the end of Season 1, when Goblin Slayer had to use all of his mind and his tactics in order to get a bunch of people who didn't believe goblins were a big threat into using his plan in order to take care of that insane attack. What they decided to do here at the end with a bridge full of goblins, he would have died there. Like, the only option would have been to destroy the bridge, but then they would have been trapped and had no way to move on. The fact that our girl comes in, she is terrified of goblins. She's literally shaking. She rides in on her albino alligator with an army of sluttily dressed women and badass soldiers, and they slay that army. And the fact that we get that same level of hurrah makes me dying to see more, because the big thing with Season 2 is it's all about progressing Goblin Slayer out of just simply being a Goblin Slayer. That is important, but there's clearly a bigger threat at play. They're getting into the political side, there's a lot of conspiracy. Who's this Diamond Knight guy? Like, what the hell's going on? Why were they going this hard? Why do they want to overthrow this king? And who do they want to put on the throne instead? There's so many political stories at play that are very fascinating. There's the potential of Goblin Slayer becoming a true hero over time. There's so much to explore, and it gets you excited for another season. At least that's how I'm feeling. Now, I do have a full live reaction to all these episodes over on my Patreon, so if you would like to see my thoughts on Season 2 in full, including this latest episode, they're over there if you're interested. Now, I very much enjoyed Season 2. I would say Season 1 I view as a great season. I would say the movie is good, and I would say Season 2 is good. That's my review. So overall, it's a pretty damn good anime with a lot of great ideas, and I think that's a very fair assessment on Goblin Slayer as a whole from what we've seen. I like the fact that even when the production wasn't exactly what I was looking for, I still felt like it was Goblin Slayer through and through. We had the same party dynamic that we had all throughout Season 1. The main difference is that we had Goblin Slayer actually being more vocal and actually feeling things beyond Goblin die, ha ha ha. No, if we just went back to that, it would undo literally all the development of Season 1. I still get people literally every week. It might be on the latest video, might be on a previous video. I literally will have people try to come up here and say, oh, Season 2's not good, Goblin Slayer talks too much, we're just here to watch him kill goblins. That's dead ass what people try to tell me, and I'm like, how the fuck do you watch Season 1 of Goblin Slayer and only think he kills goblins? A majority of the episodes is him talking with the companions. It's just the companions do a lot of the heavy lifting up until the second half of Season 1. And just the fact that instead of going where a lot of these authors would with a story like this, which would be a meathead killing goblins and just going for edgy gore fest, instead, no, like, they're tasteful about how they handle things, and the subject matter is disturbing in the right ways without just being a shock value sort of a thing. While maybe Season 2 doesn't have as many visually grotesque moments of Season 1, it still feels like it's just as brutal of a world. Like, I don't need to see it in order to be like, oh yeah, goblins are doing these horrible... This damn goblin, like, is still stripping down women and trying to do these horrible... They're sacrificing bitches just to summon demon lords or gods or evil gods, whatever you want to call them. And the fact that this shaman, this priest, does like this kamikaze suicide run in order to summon a giant hand that we have to crush with an elevator is pretty insane, and it's Goblin Slayer through and through. I truly didn't think they were going to be able to defeat that hand. I thought it was going to be a tactical retreat. Makes sense that they really couldn't though. This thing spawns in and launches a blizzard. One of our characters is a lizard who requires heat seemingly. He wants to sunbathe. So he was about to die. Goblin Slayer casually like, hey bro, are you still alive? Alright, bet. Most bro thing I've seen from him, I think, not even be like, oh man, are you okay? No, it's like, hey bro, are you okay? Yeah, I guess I'm alright. That's just two guys being guys right there. Absolutely love it. But the idea of like trying to prepare and try to get through this, and then this thing just comes in. Honestly, I had no idea what they're gonna do. I was like, oh man, I hope there's like some explosive powder in those bags. Oh no, it's just armor that he's kicking around. If that whole thing would have had a body, 2 arms, 2 legs, the torso, and the head, I think we would have had Armageddon on our hands, and it is very lucky that they came up on an elevator and our girl could literally use this like holy floor to stop it from climbing back up. That thing was resilient, man. It was probably a second, maybe 10 seconds away from crashing through, and I didn't know how they were gonna deal with it. And the idea of it getting like splattered like a pancake, so good. And of course, it was too good to be true. They leave that area, and there's what, 100, 200, 500 goblins just waiting to attack them. We have maybe 2 fighters, 3 maybe, because we have Goblin Slayer, Priestess, the Archer. I mean, our dwarf, but it's like we're still carrying half the people, so it's like, even if all of them could fight, they're not really at their best, and even if they were, how would you deal with that many goblins? Maybe if he had a scroll that he could just like wind blast them off, but I was like, okay, my assumption was the hero party that we saw last week, because the goblins rained down on them from the scroll. I thought they were going to come in, do some crazy maneuvers. Was not expecting the cavalry to come in like that, and I was so happy. And I was equally happy to see her visibly scared, because this shouldn't be a moment where she flips a switch and says, I'm not scared of goblins. She should still be terrified, because that was her character. She literally has night terrors of goblins. Like, this is a big thing for her, but the fact that she came in and believed and did what needed to be done is the reason Goblin Slayer can even have a season 3 potentially, because he would have died there. The only option was to somehow destroy that bridge, but if they did so, how the hell would they get through? Like, there's no way to get across there. They would have starved, and like, who's coming as reinforcements, right? They would have been absolutely messed up. But just such a good season, and I'm very excited about the political side, because the politics of Goblin Slayer hasn't been overly in our face, but there is enough there that you could tell they could develop into something crazy, and that's clearly what this arc was about in terms of the king, the sister, and everything. But now we get a little more understanding to see the sabotage behind the scenes as someone in a badass suit of armor crashes through, and I'm not sure who's under that helmet, but I mean, the idea that there's clearly something brewing there, and Goblin Slayer walking as he's going home, flashing through everything, I'm Goblin Slayer, this is what I do, but then he's thinking about all the people who can be more than just a goblin slaying machine, him thinking about his dreams of wanting to be a hero. There is so much here, and I can't wait to see where they take this story, even more so than when I left season 1 and then entered the movie. As someone who's pretty much said since the beginning of season 2 that I prefer season 1, I've also been very fair in how I've talked about season 2, because I don't think it's a bad season. I think good is probably the best way to sum it up, similar to how I viewed the movie. But I love the fact that even if certain episodes or a majority of the episodes didn't really match the excitement I had in season 1, at no point did I feel bored, at no point was I disappointed really. There's elements I'm like, yeah, I would have preferred it to look like season 1, but that's just a personal preference, and yeah, there's a lot of inconsistencies with the character designs, but the actual development of the characters, the world building, and some of the fights did match up to season 1 for me. I still leave a happy camper, but that's just me anyway. Let me know what you thought of either this last episode of Goblin Slayer Season 2 or maybe even the season as a whole. Do you want to watch a Season 3 like I do? Let me know down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're around here, of course ring that bell so you get notified when I upload more to the channel. And like I mentioned, we have a full live reaction to all these episodes over on my Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, you also get a video shout out. So today we have Benjamin Margolis, Wujon, Brandon Logren, Xtren, Power9987, Jessica Compton, Fate, and Snake Eater 7. So I appreciate the support. Please take care and have a good one.